kick off the day. Fellas, how do you feel about this new Florida roster and how New York's going to deal with them?
It's gonna be great. It's gonna be excellent. We are incredibly hyped to get into this game. Chad, tell you what, man, this is gonna be unbelievable. We are kicking off the Major IV Qualifiers. We are christening this vessel, the final sprint to champs, with arguably one of the most important games of the entire qualifier. This is a must-win game right now.
This match right here is going to be intense, man. 10th versus 11th. Right now, the points are so damn close to try to make it into that top 8. Obviously, NYSL at Major 3, they flop out. They lose that series versus Seattle. They choke a bunch of those S&D rounds in that game 5, and then just could not have a bounce back in that series versus London. And then on the opposite side, Florida, well, we've been talking about Florida this entire year. It's either going to be hot or cold. Every time they play OpTic, for some reason, they're really hot. But then in the series versus Seattle, they fall short all the way into game 5. And in the follow-up versus Toronto, they were just playing the hometown crowd at that point. Toronto was looking in prime form. They just simply could not shut them down. And like that said, Florida coming up with some drastic roster changes. I feel like when we got a chance to take a look at that maps and modes, the biggest thing that stood out for me was like, yes, they do have 2 search and destroys that they have not won all season long. But even for the control, they are 6-8 in their last test controls when they come out and wins. They only won it twice out of the last 8 times they played it. And even on that Berlin hardpoint, they're currently on a 4-game loss spree. So this is going to be a tough task for Florida to try to get done.
It's really gonna be a tall task for either of these teams, right? After the Florida Mutineers, you're thinking, hey, we've got 2 new players to think about. 50% of our roster is different, and clearly you see that indicated by the maps and modes, the conversations that we're having. On the flip side for New York, Jay, it's I mean, what, you're looking at a mountaintop right now. You're staring at a mountain in front of you saying, okay, how do we try to attack this? How do we even try to counter a team that we realistically have no idea how they're going to play? Obviously, we know what Skies and Awakening have prepared for us, but when it comes down to these newer factors, it is going to all be on the line. And boy, is this going to be an exciting game. Like I said, I was excited when you and I got given this game because this is New York and Florida. As we talked about, New York, the spotlight, it feels like, is more on them. Is the run there? Is it possible? Yes, it is possible for New York. But Jay, is it fair to say this is a must-win game? They lose this versus Florida. Is that their season basically right there?
Yes, this is a must-win game for NYSL because you need to have some confidence. Your schedule does not get easier down the road. And to start off this stage, 1-0 is exactly where you want to be. They need to turn this around after getting basically 3-2 at the Major and then 3-1 by London. That's 2 series that you could have easily won if you did not choke. I'm expecting high praises for the NYSL team. Hopefully they show it in this early run.
We will indeed. Unfortunately, 2Real's first death. Now in the CDL, a rookie making his debut is going to come from a team kill. So rather unfortunate. However, Florida off to a solid start on the P1 here of Tuscan. Big weight going for the early flank. Trying to flip those spawns. Florida, ever so pesky, still are locking up the seconds.
Yeah, you see NYSL, they're still going to try to attack this from field side. Hydra with a huge kill onto Skies. At least opened up the point for now, but 2Real with the nade. The trade's going back and forth, and don't really know what's going on. All right, we're back in the game. Okay, Florida have control. 10 seconds left. NYSL have to properly set up off the rotation.
We just couldn't believe how solid the opening break was for the Florida Mutineers. Who would have thought they could hold bet down basically every single second? A great start for them, 26-1 as we head in now toward P2. New York with those spawns up and ready to go. But Jay, at least off the rip, a solid beginning for the Florida Mutineers team. A roster who we talked about, a lot of questions on them, how they're going to play, how is the pace going to look. You want to see 2Real and especially Major have a solid start, and right now with Florida getting that break, it appears that everything is squeaky clean.
Yeah, 2Real just put a lot of pressure on from top plat, opened up with that 3-piece, and still causing havoc in towards that back alley before Hydra does take him down. But now with 3 kills in the feed, NYSL successfully going to be able to break in. They just have to chain it to some time. Right, the biggest thing for me, at least that stood up for NYSL at the Major, was that Kismet and Crim both sat at like 0.8s, especially in the respawns. You need these guys to turn up. Everyone seems, when they're playing at their best, they're all slaying. When they are not, that's when they tend to struggle, and it showed at the Major. So far, they're answering early.
Yeah, you just want to see that overall consistency as a lineup, and that very well could get you through some of these gauntlet type of maps, these gauntlet types of series, and this one, without a doubt, is going to be on the list for both of these teams, as it's been a rotation battle up to this point. New York able to grab a decent amount of time over at P2, but now Florida with the spawns as we relocate now over toward the fountain. It is the Tour de Tuscan right now And with Awakening falling, that could be the opening that New York have been waiting for. The AR is eager to reply as Major and Skies find 2.
Yeah, Florida are the #1 team in rotation win percentage on this map, but they are the 11th in hold percentage. You see how easy that was for NYSL to at least initiate that first break. Not giving up a bunch of time towards Florida, but now the pressure's going to come in from top fire. 2 players here. Sky's going to be the cutoff man. Hydra's going to be able to at least slip his way through, but with Major Maniac there, the final 15 is going to go to Florida. Now off the rotation is going to be New York. Crim has a huge one-on-one, and Awakening comes out on top.
Awakening comes out on top, and Florida now have a solid lead coming in toward Church. They do have 2 stragglers making their way toward the back. 2Real and Awakening. The new SMG duo getting greeted by a few shots. Paul and Hydra both here. Nice nade from the Røkkr, but he eventually gets dealt with. So now the Subliners, a little bit of time to focus on, to soak on up here inside of Church. One thing too, Jay, that we got to talk about, Florida Mutineers, their game 1 hardpoints, man, that is what they have been living by forever. Actually, I went back and looked at it. The Florida franchise hasn't won a series that didn't include a game 1 hardpoint since the stage 1 major in Cold War. It has been 60 series that have gone down in which that has been the case. This hardpoint is very, very important for them, Jay.
Okay, Florida need to come out swinging in this map #1. 60 series? Damn, that's a long time. We need to find some success other than game #1, but with Florida breaking in towards that P4, the final 15 is going to be theirs for the taking. And you have 2Real in a position, at least trying to time this flank beautifully to set up this pinch for his team. He might have just got great timing as well, but with him taking early shots right there, NYSL are going to know the positioning. Now they just have to win the gunfights, but with Awakening, he's going to be that 2-man army with 2Real trying to flip these spawns. The pinch is going to be here.
Edges in, but New York able to hold to the first wave. Major decides to go and hold on up, wait for the squad mates to come off the spawn. Well, he gets met with Skies, eager to pull up the SMG. He's got it ready and prepared to go as he tries to fire in toward P5. And just like that, the break is going to be in for Florida. I know it is P5 after all, but I mean, at least at the first set of rotations, a small sample size at that. But Jay, it feels like the pace, the conversation we've had with Florida, it's been looking great so far. We got a few different players on sprees. The SMGs are lighting up, and tell you what, man, Big Lake, he's one away from the glide.
Yeah, Awakening on this match specifically is a 1.25. It was 1 off of that glide bomb, but Hydra does take him down just in the nick of time. Now with 15 seconds left, you still see a bunch of Florida players just trying to attack this. Not going to give up this time for free, and they have 2 players off the rotation. This is where New York tend to put themselves in a trap. When they are not playing that rotation, when they're late, they're allowing Florida to get these easy kills. You see Awakening already here. He does find the first, but now they still have the man advantage. It's going to be on Paulehx. What can he do for the NYSL?
We'll see what Paulehx can try to do as New York, I was going to say, get very, very eager toward the middle side of the point, toward the middle side of the map, rather. And while Paul falls, Kismet does as well. Hydra's left pretty much all by himself over toward the Church, and Mack try to turn this into a flank as Florida are locking in those seconds. They got to be careful, Jay. This game is starting to get away from them.
Yeah.
As here comes the pinch, here comes the play. New York investing quite a bit into this moment. The nade over the top, and overall, it will be New York reclaiming control right when they have to.
Yeah, they get the break with about 30 seconds left. They just have to win these gunfights. Do not allow Florida to break on in, get this time, and keep the spawns for next. As 2Real's just gonna fly, and he finds a 2-piece, at least sets up Major Maniac to find the final kill on towards the point. Major with great shots onto Crim. But this final 10 is going to go in favor of NYSL. They just have to get in front of this game right now because Florida, they're ahead on the rotations. They're winning the key gunfights when they're needed. And that's why you see the lead they currently have. NYSL just had to slow down and play the fundamentals.
They got to slow down, but at the same time for Florida, they can kind of do the same thing, right? They can just rely on the advantage that they have, give up that P1 and prepare for next, as the Subliners do invest a decent amount for the backside of the spawns. That's player number 2 in Hydra, who's looking to fight for those. A great start so far for the Frenchman, 20 and 13 as he hits the deck. So does Crim. By no means having the same series as his French counterpart, but Kismet doing what he can to lock this one down. As we said, a big moment right now in the game for NYSL. They've got a few stragglers making their way through middle. That's going to be 2. Now make it 3. Great little break coming in from Kismet. Nearly makes it the 4th. A solid break out of NYSL as the race will be on now for spawns. Final 15.
And Awakening with a huge one-on-one easy reads onto Hydra. Now the final 15 does actually get broken by Florida, so this is the worst case scenario. Right now, if you are New York, you have to sprint all the way across the map. The hill's about to pop. Major Maniac and Awakening are not missing right now with their ARs. Now with the 2v4 of the rotation, now you have to slow down your game, wait for your teammates to get into the play, and this is just allowing Florida to run away with this game. Great rotation after great rotation is giving them this lead so far.
Yeah, man, it really has. It's come down to those rotations, and at times when they needed those breaks, they have been there. Florida looking to collect themselves, start to make themselves brew on up. Kismet looking to try to lock this one down for as long as possible. He's got a little bit of cover fire, but so far he's been doing it himself.
We're dead.
Ultimately, Mutineers with those close spawns over toward the roofs fire their way back on in AR after AR. Despite the controversy around Florida having too many automatons, it feels like they're working quite well. Big Wake once again on the spree, and Mutineers looking good across that 200-point threshold.
And just looking at the scoreboard, you see the struggling Crimsix right now sitting at 12 and 26. Just not showing up in this map, number one, but the map is far from over. You have the rotation. Skies and Awakening do find two, but that trade from Crimsix is going to secure the spawns for NYSL. Now they just have to fight for these back spawns. You're going to have Skies in a position, accompanied by Major Maniac, just slowly trying to approach the back. The pinch is also going to come in from field. First gunfight going to go in favor of Skies, but now at least you still have Major Maniac here. He should be able to find the trade. That's going to be 3. Last player up is Crim, and what a successful break from Florida. Working it, taking their time, and now the final 30 should go in their favor.
We gotta get a lot of props as well to 2Real. I mean, while it's not currently a positive game for him, you see the amount of time that he's got, over a minute. Feels like in every one of these team fights, he has at least been finding one, setting his teammates up for success. As Big Wake falls again, it is the trades that seem to be favoring the Florida Mutineers. But hello, here comes Paulehx, jumps right into the line of sight from Major Maniac, and how about a game for him in his return? Sits at 28 and 18. Florida, they can feel this game one going their way. 15 more points, and this one is theirs. New York in a world of trouble.
Almost a 100-point game right now. New York need a great hold to at least put themselves at 200 points. As the pressure from Florida is going to come from top plat. Crim with a great 2-piece to at least shut down that initial push. Now you have the information that one player is going to attack from Fountain. Crim finds the third. Last player is also going to be pushing from middle, but you, for now, your NYSL are holding the first engagements. 35 seconds left. The second goal is going to be here. 2Real and Kismet. 2Real does find one, but Kismet with 2. New York, they are holding. 25 seconds left. Getting closer to that 200-point mark.
I don't know how Paul had the timing to do that. That ever works out for me, at least when I'm playing right. But Paulehx is a different beast. And as you said, NYSL holding for the moment. The nice little bunny hop from 2Real as he will quickly push himself into the point. Paulehx with a sense of urgency did what he had to over at P5. Now can he do it at P1? The rotation is set up early from Florida, but they're not reading the flank. They are not reading the flank. Skies is the last man here, and he drops as well.
New York successfully get the break. Now with 50 seconds here, they can close this out. They just need to set up one great hold to at least make them hit that panic button. The Hydra pinch is gonna come in. He finds one. He's gonna be able to at least find the second. Great shots onto Major, but team shots from Paulehx is able to find that kill. Now it was just almost an 100-point game. It's only gonna be a 15-point game. NYSL are changing that P5 to P1 and got themselves right back into this one.
And it's Paul again! It's Paul again from far away! Paul, come on! You gotta solidify it. At least gives the information to his teammates. And we are about to have a lead change. And they have got that tick. They've got that tick for a moment, Florida. They've got to contest. They contest for just the right amount of time. 1 to 2 more seconds away are NYSL, but Florida, they're here. They're ready. It's Skies in the back of the tank trying to hold him off. And he drops. He drops, Shay.
Skies drops, but Awakening and Major combined for 3. Now 240 to 246. All of NYSL spawning towards mid-map and towards top plat. This is their last push. They gotta go.
They gotta go, but Awakening is there. He drops 2. Paulehx, the last man alive, tries to go big, and Florida will hold on to what was nearly a 100-point comeback out of the New York Subliners. That is the way, the perfect way to kick off what is going to be the best split of the season. Intensity from start to finish, but it is Florida who, by the slimmest of margins, claimed that game one.
every single series in stage 4 is gonna have this level of intensity. And don't forget, this is also a bounty match. You have a $10,000 on the line for this series, but most importantly, it's gotta be about the points. Obviously, Florida, they come out swinging off the gates. Perfect rotation after perfect rotation. But then when they allowed NYSL to get back into this game, it was all on that P5 hill. Paulehx and Hydra, they were going massive to find every single kill there. And then they chained it over to that P1. But you see that little contest that comes in from Owakening allows Florida to get set up properly for that P2. Even with Skies dropping on that early first blood in the back of that tank, Owakening and Major Maniac with those ARs in their hands go massive to secure those spawns, then force NYSL to hit that panic button to try to sprint out and stop them from getting that time. But Florida clutch up in those final moments, and that has to be, I'm telling you, Major Maniac right there definitely calmed the boys down, because we've seen Florida without this guy on this team, they usually crumble in those moments. But he's probably telling the guys it's never chalk, let's just rotate, everybody calm down, we just have to go massive off this rotation. They do that, they secure map number 1, now have a 1-0 lead in this series.
And Jay, I want to talk to you too, like, how big is that? I mean, when we talk about the complexities of this series, New York, throughout the stage 3 major qualifiers, they were known to be that game 1 hardpoint team. I mean, how many times have we seen them rely on that opening hardpoint? And whenever it came down to the most recent major, right at Toronto, they go 0 for 2. In both of those games, they lost the opening hardpoint.
Yeah, they lost the one to Seattle. It was a tough one. And then lose the one to London Royal Ravens. That one got me completely off guard. Everyone just came out flat. Like Crim and Kismet both had 0.8s when it came to those respawns. But then you see them also have a slow start here. Like Crim doesn't step up till we get to this P5 on the second rotation. If he starts off a little bit better in the beginning of that game, NYSL will run away with it with the way that Paulehx and Hydra are shooting. But now they find themselves in a situation where it's usually difficult for them. Down 0-1 in this series, you're relying on search and destroy, where a majority of their S&Ds with this team have all the way to around 11, where they're losing 2v4s, they're losing 2v3s. A majority of these rounds that they're losing have come in clutches. And not to say it's going to be easy going up against Florida, because Florida on the 2 search and destroy maps have yet to find a single W. But with the Major Maniac on this team, you know that there's going to be a whole different game plan. Major Maniac and 2Real just come off that Toronto win, so they're probably going to bring a bunch of their S&D strats into this team, because we only have 4 S&D maps in this entire CDL. 2 of them, they have no wins on. So that's terrible. And I can already see Major Maniac doing immediate impact as soon as they enter this map.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it as soon as we saw the vetoes. The vetoes were done actually really early in comparison to this series. You and I rolled up like, 2 hours before, our official time for the broadcast to start. And we're like, oh, the vetoes are already done. Like, it feels like Florida already had a plan going into this match. They were prepared to play these games. And Jay, I was taking a look at the S&D KDs at the Toronto Open, the Challengers Open. I mean, it was excellent numbers across the board. For Major, he had a 1.74 at the Challengers Toronto Open. 2Real, a 1.22. So, wow. That is something to think about. Very scary. I know the Shady Kings team ultimately played very well in Search Destroy. Everybody across the board had great numbers, but those two especially helped lead the way with Neptune and as well as Brack. It's scary. It is scary if you're the New York side, because you just don't know what to expect. Like, why is Florida playing Desert Siege? Do they have something cooked up their sleeve? Does Major Maniac have some crazy strats in mind? I feel like it's a time to be very concerned if you're a New York fan, Jay.
It's definitely a time to be concerned, because Dave Patty for this roster originally was at like a 0.8. Vivid was at like a 0.7 in Search and Destroy. That's why they really didn't find a lot of success. You get a guy that's just recently off the most recent major, the most recent challenger major, comes off of 1.7 in Search and Destroy, and then 2Real, who's a really aggressive SMG player, a 1.2. This is going to do wonders for this team. We know where Skies come from. He comes from that S&D scene. Awakening, he's always been dominant in this mode. When you add those 2 players, it's going to be a total differential when you watch them in this game mode. I'm excited to see what they can bring. Obviously, NYSL needs to enter into this series to gain some kind of confidence. This is not tough for them. They're still sitting at 70 points overall. They need every match win that they can possibly get. And when they're losing hard points, which is their best game mode, when you think about this roster, kind of puts them in a tough spot.
Yeah, it absolutely does. And I know that the desk was touching on this at the very start of the broadcast. The issues with Florida and Search Destroy. They've been there, right? They're the 11th team right now in S&D for the moment. I mean, the record sits at, I think, like 11-22. And, when you talk about the roster as well, it's crazy that this is arguably one of the worst teams we have in Search Destroy, yet they happen to possess arguably the best S&D player statistics-wise that we've got in the league. I think like Skies is still sitting at the top with like a 1.2. So to have really the complement of what is Major Maniac, and then along with a very unpredictable piece in 2Real, it really starts to set the stage. As we said, Florida yet to get a W on the Siege. I don't think they've played this map since the Pro-Am New York. Much more well-seasoned on it, but there you have it. Mr. Major Maniac having himself a great game. I think it's fair to say Jay's coming into this series with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of a chip on his shoulder for Major Maniac. He said, I deserve to be here. He's
trying to get warmed up for Minnesota. He's trying to get warmed up for the Røkkr later.
Exactly. But here we go. Florida on the attack. Major Maniac is going to get spotted, though, as one player is going to get that information. But Crimsix with that early first blood with the nade. Awakening does answer, at least making it 3v3, but that's going to be bombed down.
It's a great start for Crim. He'll be able to find those first two while Kismet drops. It's overall a solid start for Crimsix. A very slow opening hard point, and honestly a map in Desert Siege where he historically has not been great on. Hydra will complete it, so Crim gets the hat trick, and is Paco there with the final kill. In Florida, really nothing to speak of.
Yeah, right there, Florida. They're just playing a stationary setup. They're just trying to get the information of how NYSL are going to play this. But when you're running into a hot Crimsix, so far that round number one is a great bounce back off of that map number one. Finds 3 kills in the feed. First with the nade, next 2 with the shots. Does NYSL secure the first defense? They're actually 52% on their defenses on this map compared to Florida, who are 37%. And also a little bit better on their offense as well, 40% to 31%.
And all right, we are into this round number 2.
Okay.
The lobby drops in a matter of moments, and it quickly favors the Florida Mutineers. Paul pretty much saw everything with the scope. We got to watch it from afar, and now has clutch up, able to find the head of Major Maniac to start, and now it is the two-headed beast of Big Wake and Skies now left to handle. What a round this could be to get some more momentum on the board for the Red Menace. Did he spot Awakening? I think he does spot a little bit of movement, but we always know toward the desert, it is very difficult to see sometimes here on the Siege. A lot of time to work with still, Jay. Right in the corner goes Paul. This guy's just toward his side.
He picks up that bomb, so you're going to see Awakening turn to at least know that the player in Paulehx has to be near this location. But he's going to spot at least one player in the skies. Awakening goes for the challenge and finds that kill. And that's a great round from Florida. Early tone setter right there to not allow NYSL to attack towards that B bomb. They send 3 players over towards that B site. They come out on top in the engagements. And even though Paulehx does find that first kill, every time Paulehx gets a kill like that, I just think about what Chance always says. He gets kills that he should not. That sniper kill was insane. But Awakening and Skies, they've been here before. They're the dynamic duo of this Florida roster. They clutch up and tie it up at 1.
I remember it was like, well, I think it was like Checkmate last year. I don't know if it was like S&D or just in general. Clay would always talk about, like, we just don't want to, like, we're just trying to counter Paul. Like, we're just always trying to get rid of this guy because, as you said, the kills he makes are absolutely unreal. 2Real with a great little answer off the rip. Helps lead the charge in toward top Palace. Gets that first blood for Florida, which, as we said, is a rarity as of late. The new roster trying to change up the pace. Kismet able to escape with his life. Current man advantage right now for Florida, but you could not tell 2Real anything because he is a man on fire. He is getting in those steps today, Jay.
Yeah, 2Real is just flying all throughout Palace. At least he's going to be able to work towards this A bomb plan, but Crim does find that opening kill. So at least making it 3v3, and look at the positioning of Kismet. He's going to be able to sneak his way past to the flank, catch 2Real off guard, walks right by Skies on some great timing. Now in the 3v1. Skies has to work his way all the way back towards train. Paulehx is just going to hop it. He does at least spot him, but the trade should be here from Kismet. That's going to be Kismet making the play, sneaking his way through backside trains, catching 2Real off guard, even after getting first blooded. NYSL with the adjustments on their defensive rounds to secure it and go up 2-1.
Yeah, great little moment there for New York. As we said, it felt like it was all sunny skies here on Siege for Florida, especially after 2Real helped lead the charge. But from there was a long-range pick out of the Subliners. Did you really see everybody just, focused up? They're ready, Jay. They're prepared. Kismet's often a guy who really talks a lot and maybe listening to what the GOAT has got to say. As we said, a huge moment for the Subliners, and I'm actually being told, Jay, the reason why they're not talking a whole lot is because the game drops. So that is the reason why there's not a whole lot being said. It's because the game is going to have to be refreshed. We apologize for that. But Jay, so far your rankings of what has been an entertaining start to Desert Siege.
NYSL so far 2-0 in their defensive rounds. Obviously, Crim comes out and get that 3-piece to start us off. He needs to build some momentum into this search and destroy, and that's exactly how you do so. And then in that round number 2 for them on the defensive side, even after getting first blood, Crim once again answers with that nade kill to at least even up the numbers, and then at least creates that timing for Kismet to work towards that late flank. You see what it did to 2Real, completely catches him off guard, and in the 3v1, Scott stays no chance. Kismet's in a great position to at least secure that one. Great round from NYSL. I just want to see what they can do on attack, because we saw what Florida was able to do. A lot of aggression towards that early B bomb. They shut down that push. Usually NYSL do not find a lot of success at that A site. They've done their homework, and at least it showed for both of these squads on the defensive end.
And Jay, I'm sure you've suffered, many of these restarts in your career and past. What do players say whenever the game drops? Like, what do you say in moments like this? Like,
it's tragic, bro. Because imagine if you're NYSL, you lose a close map number 1. Obviously, if we start off hot in that one, we probably take that one. But then to go up into the search and destroy, you take that early round number 1. Florida answer right back with a very quick round of their own. But then to just go back and forth into the search and destroy, and then the lobby crashes, kind of kills all momentum. Like, Crim's probably thinking, all right, 2 rounds in a row, I've gotten first blood, I'm definitely going to be able to do it. But when you shut it down, now it allows the team to develop how they're playing, to see what they've done so far. All right, they've been really aggressive on towards B. Let's try to make adjustments on there. And then also for the attacking rounds for Florida, they just have to figure out, once they get that first blood, to take that map control. We've seen them all the way pushed out on the left side of trains, but instead of taking their base, they backed up to their spawn. And that eventually just what was the opening for Kismet to hit that late flank and eventually win the round for them.
Yeah, an unfortunate pause of momentum right now for the Subliners, but I know the Devs touched on it at the start of the day, and for those who maybe aren't tuning, or rather didn't get a chance to check it out, first of all, you can do that on YouTube. It's awesome. You can just rewind. It's excellent. But I'll touch on it for you for a moment. I mean, the reason why, Jay, we're talking about how this is a must-win is because of the point disparity, right? New York, they sit in that 11th seed, only 70 points to their name. A lot of that is because every time the points are on the line at major lands, they've yet to get any points, right? They won the Pro-Am, that's great, no points. But Major 1, Major 2, Major 3, not a Series W to speak of. The reason why it's important is obviously because they need points, but also because of the schedule that they have got coming up next, right? They've got the Guerrillas to face off against, which I'm sure Neptune is going to be very much looking forward to that game, considering it's his old team. And then after that, buddy, they've got Seattle, OpTic, and the Thieves. I mean, what you and I have talked about this before. What is the path for the Subliners? What does the record have to be? What's the performance if they can get in a good spot for their own major, which is coming up in New York? What is the path going to have to be for the team?
I feel like for them, they have to go at least 4-1 throughout this stage. They have to come out and guarantee this win versus Florida, who's another bubble team that's right next to them in the standings. Then that series versus LAG, they need to be able to knock down LAG in the standings so they could get closer. So that has to be a guaranteed win. And then in the middle, you have Seattle and OpTic. Those are going to be 2 heavy hitter matchups. Obviously, Seattle coming up for our most recent major win. And then OpTic Texas, you know what they are capable of. That squad so far has stayed really consistent throughout the years. They win Major 1. They do a great work, at least in their online qualifying matches, to stay consistent. And it's not going to be an easy match for them. And then the last match versus the Thieves has to be another win that they need to be able to take. Thieves are currently in the 8th spot. They can't afford to take an L to NYSL, but NYSL need every single win that they can get, especially versus the teams on the bubble. So it's not going to be an easy road. But versus a team like Florida, who are coming off of 2 roster changes, you need to be able to at least with the roster that you did not make a roster change with, keep out and win this series.
Yeah, and you can go and see the CDL points there. Obviously, Atlanta FaZe, they have locked in their position. When we talk about, these bubble teams, we're basically talking about almost 4 through 12. I know that Paris, technically, we can go back and forth on that, but really, we have so many teams right now that are on the hinge of, are we going to make it the champs? Do we have the ability to make it through? Is there, some situation where we can make it through? Is there a situation where we can start to lower ourselves? That is the reason why we're talking about this game with such emphasis, is because Florida and New York feel like 2 teams who could be on the rise, and right now they face off against each other, especially for the Subliners, who are more in a hole than anybody but Paris. You're also thinking hey, we beat Florida, that gives us another opportunity to maybe overlap that team, who also is going to try to make their own run themselves. It is truly one of the more interesting situations and storylines that we've really, Jay, that we found ourselves in for a long time. Like last year in Cold War, I want to say it was like the bottom 4, bottom 5 teams was roughly decided. Like we didn't have any unbelievable games. This year, man, it has not at all been the case in Vanguard. As we said, like 6 or 7 teams. It's crazy to think that, I don't know, man, some legends, some teams who have performed great very well may not see the big boy at the end of the season.
I know, that's a scary thing for me because NYSL in the beginning of the year, you just think about their roster. You had Clayster, you had Crimp. Both of these guys got 3 rings sitting next to each other. So you're thinking, all right, we're going to do enough just to get to champs till the end of the year. And that's probably where we're going to be able to pop off. But right now, they're just right there, not even in the top 8 and really in a scary position to even make the top 8 if they cannot find some W's. Crim, this could be the first champ he's not even going to be at. He's the GOAT of Call of Duty.
Don't say that, Jay. Don't say it.
Mind-blowing to think about.
I can't. Like, we're talking about, like, I think I saw a stat the other day that's like Scump, Crim, and Clay, like the only 3 players. Like, don't tell me. Don't tell me that list is going to get even shorter. We'll see what happens. As we said, this S&D, folks, we apologize for the momentary lapse in time. We're going to be coming back after this short break, making sure that everything is solidified, good to go. Make sure and stay with us. Florida versus New York will continue after this short break.
What's up, everyone? I'm Attach, and today I'll be teaching you some CDL vocabulary.
Are you guys ready to learn? Let's learn some links.
So the term regain means like, say it's S&D, you lost a round, you choked 1v1, but there's still more to play. Like you have to regain and just keep on going.
We have to just come back from the bad things that happened.
Someone, you got to be like, yo, everyone, regain. It's pretty much refocus up and lock back in to win the match ahead.
Regain is spelled R-E-G-A-I-N. That's how you're thinking about myself. I've never like spelled stuff out in English before.
So to use the term regain in a sentence, you could just say like, it's fine, regain, something like that, you know, like.
Everyone calm the down and regain.
I think the term came from long ago, literally like many years ago, literally when I probably wasn't around. I'd definitely say it's gotten more used over the years now, but it's definitely an old word.
I feel like Nameless, I feel like he came up with Lost Fool. I feel like regain's one of them too. So our team uses the word regain a lot. If you hear your teammates say regain, then obviously they think that something's wrong. So if you hear that, then obviously you want to play to your standards.
Whenever you see someone choking or whatever, everyone just starts saying regain, regain.
I think that's another one that's getting overused quite a lot. I feel like anything that happens, people are like, yo, regain, bro. Yo, regain, bro. We do not really use that word when we're playing. It's like, yo, guys, let's regain. It's like more like, oh, we're getting spawn trapped here. Like, we've like changed the way we say things in game just to not have that like mentality. Stuff like that kind of just puts like a bad tendency in your brain when you're like communicating in a stressful match. You're like, oh, we're getting down if we have to regain.
The word world star from like the Call of Duty terms is just whenever a person in the game gets destroyed.
When you turn on someone in game or do some like crazy clip, like where you like 360 someone.
You hit a crazy shot, hit a crazy snipe on someone, you world starred them because you're putting them on a highlight reel. World starred is spelled W-O-R-L-D-S-T-A-R-R-E-D. So using world star in a sentence, if it goes something like this, damn, you just world starred him.
I just world star Dashy. The origins of World Star is that it's like a hip hop website that has like rap music. It has like people like showing clips of street fights or fights at school.
I think in Call of Duty Ghost, right around then is when like someone would get a crazy kill or a crazy 3-piece, and then they would start yelling that the other team got world starred. World starred gets used sometimes, but not as much as it once was used before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't use it that much anymore. I will use it rarely, but and more so use the words like slammed, something along those lines now because it's funnier. I don't know. I feel like it's funnier to say like I slammed this guy or something like that.
I think back in the day it was overused, so maybe happily it's underused now. You know, can think of something new.
So the word chalked is basically means like it's over.
It's just like a broad term of everything just being, it's just done, it's over.
You can't win gunfights, you're just chalked, like you can't get anything going.
Can't really do anything about it, you know the result.
Chalked, C-H-A-L-K-E-D, chalked. In a sentence, I would be like, oh, this server's chalked. I can't shoot straight, it's chalked.
Chris had a dentist appointment today, so scrims are chalked.
The origins of the word chalked, I'd say it's kind of recent for me, so it's got to be an American thing.
I feel like it first became a thing during the MW season, or maybe just a little bit before that.
I feel like it's something that CDL pros kind of made up, because I don't really hear anyone else using it.
Me and my teammates definitely use the word chalked quite often, and I feel like everyone in the CDL does as well.
We always say it's never chalked because like we're never out of the game. That's one of our sayings that we've been saying on our team for a while.
Wise man once said,
Never chalked.
never chalked.
It's never
What
chalked,
we got
baby.
next, bro?
I think the term chalked definitely gets overused at this point. I feel like everyone uses that word, especially within the COD scene. I don't know if it's used in other esports, but I definitely think it's overused within the COD scene.
People just like see anything happening in a game that's against them and just say, oh, it's chalked.
I'd probably say like 90 to 95% of the pros probably say chalked in their daily vocabulary. So it's probably overused, but I don't think it's a bad word to overuse.
Sounds so fun again, eh?
Yeah.
Lock the in, baby.
Remember what I said, yeah? Bring intensity, go 110%.
It's time.
This is time.
It's time. The main event.
Wait, what?
I think it cozy.
Get comfortable up here, man.
It's a little hot up here, bro.
It's a little bright up here.
Hit by a lamp.
So I'm feeling amazing.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
I'm feeling amazing.
Let's go. No, it's the Myers.
I love it.
That's what I'll be doing.
You locked in Dagger 2?
Yeah.
Locked in Dagger 3.
Dude, daggers are
Dagger 1 is ready to go.
Dagger 1 is ready? 2 is in check.
Dagger 3 is all fueled up on the tarmac.
Hey, add a white noise.
You have no white noise at
The
all?
knob on your headset, bro. Just adjust it to the right.
No, I know. I don't hear it at all.
At all?
Oh, yeah.
What about the other side of your headset? Try it.
Turn your white noise down too if it's Oh. These knobs, you just push them back.
This is my third day out here. I don't know.
It's on my third day out here. I don't know.
Can you hear everyone else fine? Yeah, I just lowered my game sound.
Here.
Yeah, change my picture in the back, bro.
No way.
Yeah, I'm doing this now. I don't remember doing that.
Nah, thank God you guys just finished
What the did they just do?
There's something on this. There's like a logo of Toronto on the screen, going around the screen.
Yeah.
And then when it got to the corner, they're like, oh, and they hit the corner, like, yay!
Oh my god.
Is that your hand warmer back? Come on.
Cheers. I actually need one. Look here.
Yeah, get one, bro. My hands are like, they got the wind blowing in here.
Well, like, the main stage is moving.
No, I'm actually going left and right a little bit.
Now, you guys don't know I'm skinny, right? So I'm moving more than you.
No, I'm moving the
I
same
literally, I
amount.
feel it. I feel it. Like it's going back and forth like a little bit.
Y'all sound good, man. Y'all sound real good.
Two windows, do it, Tom. Windows, let's get windows. Let's go.
Let's go, come on! Come on! Let's go! Get the towards the back is Arcitys, can press their line to better than that, picks up the kills, another for Brett! A flip, the flippity flip flip, it's everyone just battling to try and get the spawns, 5 in a row now for Skies amidst the madness. Hey, this kid's cruising, it's like he's pump stopping, give him another one, 7 in a row, 25 and 16 for Skies.
The Scump might get some nice timing here. The cross just sneak it on in. Gonna find Gutlet. Snaps on the second. He's had some insane clutches this year. A chance in a 1 versus 3 now. Down to a 1v1. A seam. Scump. 20 on the clock. I think he's on. Did he see it? Right where he is. Scump gets it done again. You've got 2 glide bombs still to use. Church now going the way of FaZe, and it's a tight one indeed. Pred trying to find the entry through side. Here we go. He's in. Finds at least one. Towards the back is Arcitys. Can press their line to better than that. Picks up the kills. Another for Brett! Sweet child of mine! And Arcitys may be able to pick him out here as the top side of the map. Oh my god, Brett finds 2. That's tremendous. Arcitys answers right back, and it is a 2v2. I think that was triggered just for Arcitys. I think he could have had the first kill quicker, but he got 2 instead. 2 versus 2. Back towards B. Oh my god. Simp can't find anybody. Oh my accuracy god. On the drop, and accuracy gone down. The ace in the round 11. Snipers have been out. They've been the story. But our first 2 rounds, can they be it again? Insight with some early shots, but it's Kleenex there to walk away with 4.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back Mack, let me just say, I love our CDL content. I never would have thought I'd hear Dave Patty explaining to me what exactly worldstar.com actually is. But I'll tell you what, it wasn't on my CDL bingo card this morning. Jay, we're in the middle of a great series going on between New York and Florida. My notes are flying everywhere. Let's go and talk about the schedules for both of these teams right now. Starting things off with the Subliners. You and I obviously talked about this a little bit earlier, but break it down, man. Break it down. What do the Subliners have coming up for them?
Yeah, this has to be a 2-0 week for NYSL to try to just keep their dreams alive of making it to champs. A team versus Florida. I mean, the win versus Florida is massive. Bubble team that's right above them in that 10th spot. Then LAG, like I said, they have to be another win. These are two rosters who are coming off of 2 roster changes where they don't really have their game plan fully sorted out yet. They have to come out and win those 2 matches for momentum. Then going into next week, you have to go up against a Titan and the Seattle Surge coming off of the most recent major victory. Yeah. They came out and dominated that entire tournament, taking out Atlanta FaZe twice in a single tournament. And then that series versus OpTic Texas. OpTic, obviously one of the most consistent teams that we have in the game. It's not going to be an easy task to get done. So they at least have to go 1-1, or even if they can, if they go 2-0 through that one, if they're sitting at 4-0 going into this last week, that's the best case scenario. But for me, I'm thinking they're probably going to go 1-1 split here and then rely on that series versus the Thieves, which is going to be a massive one. The Thieves currently sitting in that 8th spot with 120 points. They just are trying to make their way in the champs. Thieves are on the upwards. We saw them give a little bit of life in that series versus OpTic. They do fall short to Toronto Ultra, but the Thieves, they looking like they're in better form now. So if I'm NYSL, it has to be 2-0 week this week versus Florida and LAG, a 1-1 to say the least for the Surge and OpTic, and that last one has to be a guaranteed win versus the Thieves for them to have their best chance of making it to champs.
Without a doubt, my friend. I know we've been talking about a lot about Florida and, you know, when it comes down to their schedule. I mean, we talk about New York. I mean, not an easy battle by any means. Not an easy thing to try and accomplish. A 4-1 record is impeccable, let alone versus the teams that they're going to have. Now, on the Florida side, there has been a lot of topic about their schedule. In fact, I think based off of, you know, statistics, based off what people have come up with, it feels like it's one of the easier schedules for the teams that we have in the bottom 4. They've got to face off against New York, Minnesota, followed up by London, a very questionable Paris team right now. Jay, I feel like every time I'm on the Bluebird, I see Tim tweeting out like, hey, we're here to spoil some things for everybody. I saw him doing like a very maniacal, evil laugh whenever I was watching him. Like, I think he was like watching like the LAG documentary Warpath. It was quite interesting. And they will also line things out with a series versus the LA Thieves. I'll ask you the same question. How do you feel about Florida's path?
Yeah, so Florida, they're currently sitting in the 10th spot at 110 points. Obviously, when you look at their schedule, it's going to be a little bit easier. I'm pretty sure the average placing for every single one of these teams is around 8th. So it's going to be a little bit easier for Florida. NYSL already up 1-0 in the series. Like you said, whenever they start up 1-0 in the series, they usually find a lot of success. But then as you go on, you have Paris Legion, you have the Ravens. Paris Legion, you have to make sure you're guaranteeing that W. That has to be a guaranteed W. You cannot allow Johnny to come in with a pack-a-punch off John and come in and take that series.
You got to stop, Jay.
And then when you're going up against London, London do bring back Gizmo into the roster, but they had such a great start to the year that they put themselves in at least a great spot to make it into the top 8. But you need to beat teams like that to get higher into this. Only 10 points out of the top 8 right now are Florida. You've seen their schedule. They definitely have the better chances when you talk about both of these squads.
Yeah, without a doubt. Florida has the better schedule, but again, you just never really know what teams are going to come out with when it comes down to these Major IV qualifiers. As we said, the sense of urgency is there. Everybody knows the path and really the situation that they sit in right now. I'm sure that all the coaches, the management, they've been running through all the scenarios, calculating all of the differences that go down right now in all of these games. And I know that our production team, our comp ops team, have been trying to do the exact same thing, trying to, you know, elaborate what match, or rather, how much does this match mean, et cetera, et cetera. A lot of things to be thinking about. As we said, Jay, we're in the middle of a series right now. For those who have just been joining us, you're like, okay, these guys are really, you know, they're doing a great job at breaking this down, but where's the game at? I don't have the button to press the game, okay? It's starting up awfully soon, but I believe we're going to be playing on the Desert Siege Search Destroy at a 2-1 round count, still in favor of New York. So the last run that we did see on our screens is the way that things are to be playing out. So we'll do our best to try to remind you of that as we progress through this one. Also, to give you a little refresher, it was Florida that was able to claim their opening a hard point on the Tuscan. It was like a 4-point game. It was a wild one. New York nearly made a 100-point comeback. And now, with a brief lapse in time, we'll see if New York can pick things up and walk away with this search destroy. One that it feels like so often they've been seeing go to overtime after overtime after overtime.
Yep, NYSL so far, at least for both of these squads, it's been all defense. Who's going to find that early success on the attacking side? And it's going to be NYSL at least starting us off here. See right there, the S&D round count, NYSL are up 2-1. So we're jumping right back into this, and look at the pressure already on towards B-Bomb. Too Real is going to get spotted, gets first spotted by Hydra, and that's going to be a great adjustment from NYSL. They find the first blood, they get the bomb down. Now the retake for Florida.
Yeah, some unfortunate positioning there from the Røkkr. And speaking of positioning, that's what Big Wake is trying to gain. Hydra left between a rock and a hard place, goes for the jump up and takes Big Wake down. Kismet there to drop Major Maniac as well. And Skies, his position is known. At least he's able to light up one, but he has got 3 other players aware of his position. And how about that start for New York? And how about the shot from Hydra? I have no idea how he does that, Jay.
I don't know what he just did there to Awakening. That's a bad man right there. Just hits him with the jump shot, registers every single bullet, and just shuts down that early pressure from Florida. Going into their defensive round, NYSL with a flawless attacking round to now put them up 3-1. We asked for early success on the attacking side, and they showed it there as Hydra picks up 3 in the feed. Now Florida have to respond. Now, Too Real, who's going to be carrying that bomb site. They're going to do the same exact thing. Early pressure on towards B.
Once again, the rookie tagged up early. Dropped in the first round. Can he survive the nade? He will. 12 HP, and that is it. Thankfully, gets that bomb down, but only for a moment. Crim welcoming him to the CDL. And now Kismet once more hot on the tail of the opposition. Is there to take one other down. Awakening looking for every single angle that somebody could be coming in from. 25 seconds trying to defend that bomb with all that he's got. It is he and Major Maniac, last players alive. Kismet position is going to get found down. Now brings it to a 1v1. And that is why Major Maniac has been brought to the Mutineers, a 1v2 clutch when they need him most.
And I'm pretty sure he gets the ace as well. He just worked his way all the way up through that treacherous side, finds that first kill, and then eventually finds the second. And then in the 2v1, reads it beautifully, finds that first kill onto Kismet, and then with the great positioning, makes the gunfight a little bit easier on top of that B-bomb site. Major with 4 up, 4 down to secure the round for Florida, now down 3-2.
And the one thing I love the most is that he's just talking. He's instantly just in the comms, letting everybody know what the strategy is. As we said, an S&D mastermind. When it comes down to the league, we've seen him do it for years on end. As Kismet is able to find the first blood, Major Maniac, on a very valuable spree, quickly falls off of it. New York trying to get back to business while the rookie looks to try to make the play from the back. We'll see if New York are able to read this, as they have got the man advantage and then some. Still yet to plant down that bomb.
They cannot allow Too Real to break their setup. This is a way that they were losing a majority of their rounds at the Major. As the bomb is going to get planted, Too Real does find that first. He does also spot Paulehx. With Awakening giving up his position, Too Real has to get some more done. Fortunately, gets taken down. Now Awakening left in the 1v3. He does make it a 1v2 with 30 seconds to work with.
Big Wake saying, hey, Major, watch this. Maybe I can come up with a clutch too. He's got the information on the one, knows that somebody's going to be behind these barrels, but right when he puts down the weapon, Hydra is there to silence him. So New York off of, I mean, what should have been back-to-back rounds, at least are able to stabilize and get another one on the board and really just try to get Major Maniac out of the picture. And they did that early in the round, and they see success from it, Jay.
Yeah, they found that early first blood from Kismet, and then you see the great teamwork from NYSL. Once Hydra throws that shoulder from Trains, you already have Paulehx in a position to duo challenge and not give up that kill for free. They turn it into a 4v2, even though they leave the opening towards the flank for them to get broken. Hydra goes big at that site to close out the round. Now New York are up 4-2. Hydra on the restart is 6-1. Taking over and dominating Mid Palace so far.
He absolutely has. And I think he does get a bit of information. Maybe spots the shoulder, maybe the calf of some of the Florida players. Kismet once more involved in the first bloods. It's back-to-back rounds for him, which he's been involved in that engagement. Major Maniac, heads poking out, and Paul is there to silence him. Florida brought to a instant 1 versus 4. And it's most likely going to be no bueno for Caesar. Oh, puts a few tags in the Hydra. Thankfully cuts him down. At least drops him off of the spree that he was sitting on. Atop his high horse. Was the Frenchman finally silenced? But Jay, this is just going to be around for New York. I just don't see a way that Skies somehow masterfully pulls off 3 kills in 30 seconds.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy. You also have to work towards that bomb plant. Your position is going to be drawn out. Crim with the great positioning finds that kill. And now that puts NYSL at game point up 5-2. And I'm pretty sure out of the 7 rounds that we played so far, NYSL have found 6 of the 7 first bloods. If I'm Florida, you're just coming off that roster change. You know you're getting used to this new game plan for this team. The biggest thing that you can do is not get first blooded. Do not give yourself a man disadvantage in the first 15 seconds because it basically just shuts down your entire play.
And that's really the primary step we had coming into the search destroy. Florida, the worst team in first bloods so far throughout the CDL, 41% so far throughout the year. And again, it is the first S&D with Major Maniac and Co, but those issues have got to be solved very, very quickly. When it comes down to these matches, New York ultimately find the numbers as Hydra once more puts his stamp of approval in terms of some of these rounds. Already at 7 kills since the restart. Crim challenged, brought low, but ultimately stays alive. New York still with numbers. Skies on the hunt.
Skies knows that Crim is toward his left side of his map. As Major just find that kill onto Hydra. Now in the 2v2, Skies with the repositioning to at least make it a 1v2. Now all left up to Kismet, who has slowly worked his way up towards that train side. Just going to commit towards that bomb plant. Force the players to come towards him. Now with 45 seconds left, Kismet just at least has to play for some kind of information of where these players are going to come from. And he might have read this perfectly. He's going to play for the re-rotation, spot Skies, and just has to get great timing here. Skies does actually spot him as well. So they know that the pinch is going to be here. Major Maniac turns around, and great vision from Skies right there to close out this round for Florida. What I thought was going to be a 1,000 IQ play from Kismet right there to get that great timing does get shut down from the information that Skies is able to give to Major Maniac. So now Florida currently down 5-3.
Yep, currently down 5-3. The music we hear, it's not officially over yet. It's not officially over as of yet. It's okay. It's possibly not far away, fortunately for Florida.
Caesar looks good. It's a good haircut. Good
It does. He looks great. It's all smiles. You see Skies. It's a rare big wake smile that we saw a moment ago. And Major Maniac, those pearly whites. He's feeling good despite being down in the search destroy. It is never chalk truly for any team that Major Maniac is on. So maybe feeling very comfortable in an element that he's been in previously. 6-3 for him since the restart. Skies involved in a few gunfights early. Crim, he's been a minute so far in this S&D. Involved in a lot of first bloods, and right on cue takes down the rookie with the first blood. New York again, Jay, answering in the opening engagement, and we'll see if they can close it out here.
They find that early first blood onto 2Real, so now they know that the bomb is going to be down. This is where usually Kismet is going to decide to work his way through that late flank through trains, but you're going to have that combination of Paulehx and Hydra taking advantage of the map. As the main focus for Florida is going to be on Crim, but Crim is just peeling them apart. Ooh. 2 in the feed. Paulehx eventually finds the third. Now 1v4 left up the Skies. Does have some crazy clutches in his back pocket, but Paulehx and Crim combine for 2 each to close out this search and destroy for NYSL. They said, hey, we've been struggling in S&D recently, but we're not going to allow it to go all the way to a round number 11. We are going to close it out in 8. And that was great work from NYSL from start to finish up that search and destroy. I felt like they were in control, controlling the pace, and it also helps when you're getting a majority of the first bloods in this S&D. NYSL tied the series up at 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's now 0-7 for Florida in Desert Siege. I know it's still early, but you almost can't even give them that at this point, Joe. You can't give, I guess, enough of a break to a Florida team who obviously made the moves that they did. It just feels like you just got to pick it up. No matter what happens, you've got to instantly start to improve in Search Destroy, and specifically on the maps that you have struggled with. So unfortunately, they do strike out here in this game number 2, considering that game 5 as well. That Search, Destroy, and Bocage, they are also winless on. So if you are a Florida fan, you're happy that you're obviously in this game, but maybe feeling a little bit more nervous about that game 5 that could be happening in this series. I don't know about you, Jay. It just feels like this is going to go game 5. I don't know why. Just with the importance around this match right now, given the roster changes, given where both these teams sit in standings and points, and where they sit in this, and just really in general positioning right now in the league, I feel like this goes game 5. I don't know about you. I know that you want New York to just sweep the next 2 maps. It's fine. That's just where I feel.
No. I think this series definitely has the capability of going all the way to a game 5. We know what Florida is able to do in the respawns. They just have to try to figure it out in Search and Destroy. What we saw there still looks like There's some kinks in their armor in S&D. They have a game plan that they haven't fully developed yet. Multiple first bloods not going their way. Awakening did not have a massive map number 2. Now they need to bounce back into this control where they have lost 6 of their last 8 on this map. But it's going to be easy because at least for NYSL, they have a 7% win rate on their attacking round. So if you're Florida, as long as you do what you need to do on the defensive side, you should be able to walk away with this respawn.
7? That's what it is? Yeah, it actually is 7%.
7%,
That's not good. That's not good at all. But hey, listen, folks, we've got ourselves a great game going on right now. I'm already predicting it's going to go the distance, and Jay, he's agreeing with me. Folks, make sure to stay with us. New York versus Florida only. We'll continue after this short break, and when we come back after it, it is time for some Tuscan control. Make sure and stay with us.
The Call of Duty League is brought to you by Mountain Dew and Zenny. Armor your eyes with Block's gaming glasses starting at $24 by visiting zenny.com/CDL.
Howdy friends and welcome back. Major IV is off to the best start it could possibly have. Granted, we've had some technical problems, but it's been a great series so far. I was actually bleeding during the commercial break, Jay, so I was trying to handle that. You and I were talking about stats. I'm also sweating because it's like 100 degrees. This room, we've got some lights going down. I don't plan on being emotional in this series, but we very well could have blood, sweat, and tears, and it's not even the players. So that is a very real possibility in our very first series. But right now, New York versus Florida, a very competitive game. I'll be honest, I probably thought this was going to go the opposite direction. New York win the hard point, Florida win the S&D, but not all the case, buddy. Throw the stats out the window.
Yeah, New York, they responded to search and destroy. They make the adjustments, obviously going up against a Florida roster who is just coming off 2 roster change. Their game plan isn't the sharpest in search and destroy right now, so they answer early into the series to at least tie it up at 1. And now if you're NYSL, you're in a great position because so far, when I look at their control record, we saw it at the major. They do go 2-0, even though they lose both of those series. But this is where it's been their bread and butter. This is usually where they bounce back into series, even if they're down 0-2, and at least make it a series. But it's not going to be an easy task to get done. This used to be their strongest control map in the beginning of the year. But as I said before the commercial, they lost their last 6 out of 8 on this map. Now with 2 new players, they just have to figure it out all over again. And if you're NYSL, a 7% win rate on the attacking rounds has to show improvements here. And it also has to be on Crimsix. Crimsix on this map, we saw him have a slow start in that map, number 1. He's a 0.8 on Tuscan Control. He got some early momentum in that search and destroy, multiple first bloods, even a couple 3-piece rounds. Looking at this guy to really answer the call for this NYSL team. You're the GOAT for a reason. You need to lead this team, and it has to start here on this Tuscan Control.
It definitely does. He and a good old burst fade. At least I think that's what it's called, right? The burst fade? I've never heard of that, by the way. Still up until this point. I've never heard of the burst fade, but I guess it is something. But no, they'll look to try to style his way into this next control. As we said, a big one really for both these teams. I mean, we've talked about it a number of different times. It feels like control has been, like you said, the bread and butter for both these rosters. Most recently, the records, not exactly stellar, right? Not amazing, especially for Florida in general. For New York, it has been sunny skies on Tuscan. I think they're 8-2 in their last 10 controls. So that's something that Florida's going to have to try to change up. If there were 2 players that you're looking out for, one for New York, one for Florida, Jay, who's it going to be?
It's definitely going to be Crim. Like, Crim, he has to answer the call off of that map, number 1. Didn't really have the best performance there. Like I said, on this map, statistically throughout the season, a 0.8. Really looking at Crim to step up. And then on the opposite side, I need to see a little bit more from 2Real. This is the rookie that's just making his debut in the CDL. Obviously, he goes like -4, -5 in the map, number 1. Doesn't really have a strong search and destroy. But I'm looking at this guy to really set the tone for the amount of engagement he's going to put on this map. We know what Vivid was able to do for this Florida roster. Obviously, with 2Real on this team, they want him to keep those same exact engagements, but win a couple of those gunfights to go in his favor. So this is going to be a massive map for both of these teams. Looking at both of those players to really step up here.
Yeah, and it's a great point. I know with all of the discussions and conversations right now around the standings and the points and all of that, you almost do forget about the fact that we do have a rookie going on in this game, right? This is his very first series and at the very highest level in the CDL. And I mean, there is a lot of pressure on him, right? Florida, they made a massive investment to bring him into the team. We know what we're going to get out of Major Maniac, but he, without question, is the big question mark, obviously, when it comes down to the way that he's going to perform, filling big shoes for Vivid. And I mean, there was a lot of players who were in contention for this spot. I mean, Asim, Neptune, Vikol, I think even Yeez, right, the substitute for Florida. A lot of these guys were in contention to grab this spot, but ultimately they end up choosing him. We'll see if he can start to improve statistically so far throughout this series, trying to pump up the aggression, gets in some early gunfights, an overall 1-for-1 start, but because of his presence to the middle side of the map, it will ease the pain for the time for Florida. As Major Maniac looks to push on forward, it's 1 tick and about to be the second. If Major Maniac can find this kill.
That's just good work for Major Maniac to at least stay alive, allow his teammates to at least get into play. As 2Real is going to find that kill onto Kismet. The second tick of progression is going to be in, but the pinch is also going to be here for NYSL. And that's going to be all 4 dead. What a beautiful adjustment from New York. To spread the map, find the kills all over the place. And now put them in the trap. Paulehx wasn't a force view before he gets taken down, but now NYSL have some map control. They can contest this point a little longer.
That's just great work from the Subliners. Catch out Florida, who were trying to be aggressive toward the field. I'm sure when, 2Real was pushing up, The comms were out for the Subliners saying, hey, now's the time to attack. Now's the time to cause some issues. Last player in the point again is going to be Skies. He falls, and with the close spawns that Florida now get, they're going to push their way now into that B zone, try to hold off, get some time, and let's try to manipulate their way throughout the map, eventually get back over to that A zone, unless they can get a nice stack, which very well could be in their future. That's 2 quick picks. Crimsix, his information is going to be known. Hydra falls. Kismet is at least able to find 2, and just like that, Paul finds the 3rd. A great sequence there for Florida. Now instantly pushes them now toward that A zone.
Yeah, I would have liked to see Florida right there. They got a bunch of those kills towards that B point, but they did not work towards any ticks of aggression. They allowed NYSL to find every single kill, even though they complete that segment at A. Extend time by a minute. They're still down by 4 lives. So now the pressure is going to be in from the backside. You have 1 player in Awakening, at least setting up the pinch from Fountain. He gets taken care of. Now all of NYSL completely turn their arrows. They know that the pressure is going to be from the back. Paulehx finds the first. Paulehx fortunately does not find the second onto 2Real. So now it's going to be a 2-2 split across the map. What can these players try to find? 2Real gets taken down. Skies is the only player up in this position. He's going big though. He finds a 2-piece. Now he's gonna allow his teammates to pitch from the front. Major Maniac with the 3rd. It's gonna be on Crim. Can he stay alive? Crim goes big with the 2-piece to at least relieve that pressure. Already to a 6-2 start us off.
Yeah, there's been 2 great opportunities for Florida to get some work, get some progress over at that B zone, but it's been clutches from pretty much everybody on New York. Last time around, I think it was Kismet and Hydra. This time it was Crim. Now it is Paul, who was just absolutely exploded in this first round. 12-4. Put some good work into 2Real, but Hydra is there to take him down in the end. Some good moments from Florida, but ultimately shut down by Paulehx and the Subliners. One last good look at this if you are the Mutineers, and well, that good look is now tossed aside. Rookie, last one up, and well, he will decide to venture, I guess, what is that, like a garden down there? I have no exactly what it is, but New York, they grabbed the first round.
Yeah, he just jumped right into the fire. All I see is a lot of smoke. A building is on fire in that position, but NYSL, they come out and they do what they need to do on the defensive side. They secure that first push towards B. If I was Florida, I'm probably playing for at least 1 tick when you're finding multiple of those kills. When you allow them to break on in, and then eventually you get that A point down by 4 lives, all they have to do is just shut down 1 to 2 good pushes, and the round is going to be theirs due to the amount of lives that you have remaining. NYSL, great on the defensive side.
Yeah, a great start. A more inconsistent one for Florida, but you see Major Maniac at 3 and 9 as he eventually drops. Skies 3 and 7, and okay, it's time for the Frenchman to go on a tour of Tuscan, 1 kill away quickly from that glide bomb as he explodes into this round. New York are grabbing that A point in record time. Only 10 seconds are going to tick off of that clock, and now Paco can lie in wait and maybe allow for Kismet try to bait out a kill for him. They're going to play around this streak and what that would do throughout the remainder of this control, Jay. It would be massive. Hydra still on the hunt.
He's trying to find this glide bomb. Gonna take his time in towards top radio, but Hydra, he just said, we want this 8 point. I'm gonna go out there and get it done myself. He finds a 3-piece. Unfortunately, Crim does steal the kill, but that's gonna be 2 dead and feed, make it 3. The stack can come in. Also, the pinch is gonna be here. All 4 dead. Beautifully executed offensive round from NYSL. First tick is gonna be here, but now if you're Hydra, you want to play for this kill. Second tick is gonna be here. All of Florida trying to attack this from the back. 1 player trying to pinch it from top radio is gonna be Awakening, but it's almost gonna be complete. Awakening does find that kill into Hydra. Such a big kill to not allow him to pick up that glide bomb, but great work from NYSL to get those early 2 ticks of progression, and they're up by 5 lives.
It was like the video that we saw, like New York. They were trying to be like security guards for Paco. They were trying to watch every single angle, try to get him that glide. Unfortunately, it does not work out. But I mean, ultimately, if you're New York, you've got 5 ticks. Like, you've done some great work in this round. While you don't earn the glide, it feels like you've done everything else right. See if Florida can try to stabilize. I mean, that is a very healthy amount of time still left. If you are the Subliners, 1 minute and 20 on the clock as they look to make their way toward the back. Awakening in a primary position right now. He'll have 2Real off of spawn to guard the tank, but it's really the middle side of the map where a lot of the engagements are beginning to go on down. The 40s are firing. Awakening pulls out the pistol. At least we'll be able to silence things for the moment, but New York are here in stride. They've got plenty of bodies to throw at this.
Yeah, Trey's going back and forth, but Awakening comes out on top on that kill versus Hydra to relieve the pressure. Now with the minute left, NYSL up by 5 lives. They're just gonna take their time, try to at least Set up a couple team nades, find that opening first blood. She's gonna have Kismet trying to attack this from top church. Should get great timing here, but Røkkr comes out on top in the engagement. Now every single player from NYSL trying to attack this from top plat. Multiple players from Florida here for the push.
Florida, oh my goodness, just a great setup to lock them down inside of plat. So while it was a healthy amount of time, this quickly turned into 30 seconds for New York to try to get this last bit of progress. Getting a very, very good round ultimately, but TwoReal, great work to catch one on the flank, and that very well could halt the push. Kismet and Paul able to find two, puts the pressure. Now on to the farthest pushed up players right now for Florida. Skies being one, is able to take one down, but they are on the point. Skies realizing such, has to jump on in. Hydra, the angle not watched, is able to cut down Caesar. Major Maniac doesn't find a kill, but all is okay because TwoReal is there to help save the day. Crimsix will make his way to the back of the spawn, but it appears that Florida have done enough.
Florida have definitely done enough with only 5 seconds left. NYSL spawning all the way across the map. Are not going to have enough time to get there. Trey's going back and forth towards top plat, but great hold from Florida, even after giving those first 2 early takes of progression up at B. Secure the defensive round. Now they just have to make sure that they're completing seconds at that B point. That's now going to put NYSL up by 2. So if you're Florida, you need to make sure that you get this A point nice and early, or at least if you don't, complete some segments at B, because you're going to allow NYSL, just in case it gets to that round number 5, to have defense.
Something you have to think about if you're Florida. But heads down, focused into the control. The common strategy, let's rush up, get right into the church. However, that does leave the P5 open. Now, when it comes down to Tuscan control, we know the strategy, right? It's just to get that A point, but New York did a decent job in the opening round of making Florida really work for it, making them work for the time. His big weight continues to slide and glide throughout the church. Eventually will exit, service is over, and now it's time for TwoReal. Try to take on over, wins a big 1v1, and now stop the clock once more. That second tick of progress is now granted at A, while Owakening is still on the hunt.
Yeah, Awakening's just trying to put a lot of pressure on towards the opponent's spawn. He's gonna find himself in the back. He does at least spot one player, but Paulehx, some great cover fire, is able to take him down. And now with only 1 player left on this point, NYSL do exactly what they did on their very first defensive round. Find a couple kills, pinch through middle, and execute the break on towards A. Now this is gonna be a little bit more difficult now for Florida to try to get out of this trap. So they're gonna have 3 players pushing over towards that field side, 1 player lurking through fountain. He's gonna at least try to make a play, but he gets spotted. TwoReal does find an opening kill onto Kismet and onto Hydra. So now TwoReal, the only player up, he eventually gets traded by Kremlin. This has just been a lot of trading back and forth, but NYSL with the map control.
And it's just annoying. It's just annoying if you're the Mutineers. You don't want to have to fight for this as long as you have been. And Kismet had a moment to take down 3, at least finds 1 for his troubles and sets up Hydra for another. Trades back and forth, and ultimately it is favoring New York. They've got the life advantage, and as we said, they are making Florida sweat it out over at that A zone. TwoReal applies some great pressure and thankfully stays alive. And still John his way over to that B zone, quickly falls, but that A zone ultimately is going to be captured. Another minute added on to the clock, but as we said, when we talk about lives, when we talk about just overall map positioning, Jay, that work that New York does off the start, it just makes life that much more difficult for the Mutineers moving forward.
Yeah, because now they're down by 5 lives. They only have a minute and 15 to work with. Sky's going to be the player to at least slow play through P5 as his teammates are trying to pinch it out through the backside. Seeing it up. Right now, Florida are up by 1 segment.
Okay.
But a lot of pressure here from NYSL to hold down that initial push. Hydra finds 2. Paulehx eventually finds the last kill, and now they can push right on up, play for that map control that they've been dominating this game so far. 15-7 in lives remaining.
Florida were like, you guys seen Hydra lately? Where's Hydra? I don't know where Hydra is. Oh, we're both dead. Okay, we're back at the respawn screen. Great work out of New York, getting the players out of their base, and like we said, just making it work for every ounce of map positioning. However, too strong toward the backside of the tank. Major Maniac trying to work his way off of spawn. It's actually Skies who's in the back. I thought it was Major, but no. In fact, it is Caesar. 4 lives, all that remains right now for Florida. They're not allowing for them to get that 1 tick that they needed. And now a 2 versus 11, you can write this round and give it to the Subliners. 1 more player left to try and conquer and he gets dealt with. Solid stuff from NYSL, really from start to finish. That was a great defensive hold, Jay.
Yeah, New York so far on the defensive side, they are just playing for so much back control, dominating mid-map, just keeping the push at A stagnant every single time, trading those kills back and forth, and then by the time they complete that A point, it's already like 17 to 14 in lives remaining. Like, only half the lives for Florida are going to be left off as they get taken down by kills once again. Right now, NYSL are slaying. You have Paulehx, who's sitting at 25 and 13. Crim, who's having himself a map at 21 and 14. A lot of slaying power for NYSL on that defensive side. So now only allow Florida to be up by 1 segment. If you're New York, just want to get the easy job done out the way, complete this 8 point. And that's exactly what they're going to do. Is Hydra at least finds one in that P5 area, knows that at least 2 players are going to be attacking that side.
Great little moment there for the Subliners. Paul and Kismet combined for 3. Thank you very much. Kismet now on a 3 spree. But you do take a look at those stats as New York are getting very comfortable off the rip toward that B zone. And it is really a matter of what? Major Maniac 14 and 24. Skies at 16 and 22. So you really do want to see those guys begin to step it up, especially if they can see that round number 5. And you look at really the numbers from Hydra, 23 and 19. Paul having himself a great game. Just the aggression from New York is yet to be solved, yet to be countered. Oh, and Hydra just somehow hits the final bullet into Major Maniac. That is going to set them up for something quite nice. Player number 3 is as well putting some pressure on the tank. He drops, but still 3 strong for New York. They're trying to contest the point. Doing a great job at it. They find 3. And just like that, 2 more remain. Here we go. Florida, they've got to get these guys off.
The stack is in. First tick of aggression is going to be there. You see defense is already confirmed for NYSL. You have Crim, who's going to be watching that pinch towards top radio. Just have to win a couple of these gunfights towards back alley. Everyone set up off the crossfire. 2Real and Crim at least play for the trades, but that's going to be NYSL coming out on top in the engagements. The second tick is going to be in. If you're Hydra, just jump right onto that point and try to get it done. He's going to be the player to cut off top radio, but still Paulehx in a great position. Trades going back and forth. Hydra not able to find that kill onto Skies, and Owakening with the final 1. Relieves the pressure from NYSL. If I'm Hydra, I'm sprinting straight out of radio and just getting on that point. We're trying to 3-stack, put the pressure on towards Florida, but they withstand the hold. Now a minute to 40 to work with, up by 6 lives.
Yeah, I'd be willing to bet quite a bit of cash that Ali in the Columbus studio is just screaming, stack the point, stack the point, Paco, come on. I do at least earn the glide bomb, and they will now rock that to maybe close out this game. It has been all-out dominance from the Red Menace, 34 and 15. A great performance out of him as Owakening eventually does hit the deck. 7 more lives, 3 down, 2Real, the last player alive. He's going to get that information that 1 player is still going to be on the point, that being Crim. Game by no means officially done as of yet. Oh, it is guaranteed defense for New York in that round number 5. Florida still do have something to fight for. It is Major 4 after all. You got to fight for every inch and give it all you got, no matter the way that it looks right now. Not a lot of lives, but at the same time, those seconds begin to falter. A great pick though from Kismet. Could be the opportunity for NYSL now.
Yeah, you just cannot go 4 down. You cannot go 2 down and give them the man advantage in these gunfights, as Major Maniac does take down Crim. Now that relieves the pressure from NYSL. They're just going to keep their map control, keep top radio, keep top church, and allow their teammates off spawn to try to push through that B5. This is going to be the hold that they have to hold strong for. This is going to be the final push. Major Maniac with the great shots onto Paul. Finds that first blood. Time is starting to tick. Only 20 seconds left. NYSL have to go if they want to get it done.
Crim has to back on up. 2 players he sends forward. The SMGs, they ultimately fall. Paul drops as well. All onto Crim. And just like that, Florida will be able to hold on to this point. There's nobody in ear's distance there for the Subliners, so we will have the guaranteed round 5. Jay, it looked like for a moment New York had that one up and ready to go. They had that stack where we called it out. Hydra, he has to get on the point. You know, he's inside of green, that's fine, but just jump on the point, get that final bit of progress. They're not able to do it, and now as we head to the round 5, granted on the defensive side, we'll see if that comes back to bite them.
This has been where NYSL have been dominating, though. They've always been able to control the map and just keep the push stagnant at that 8 point. Owakening with some great shots. At least find the first.
Okay.
Owakening with some great shots to find the second. What a shot onto Paulehx. It's now going to shut down that initial pressure on towards A. They just cannot allow this player on the flank to make a play. He's going to get called out by Owakening. They know that Kismet is going to be committing towards top fire. Second tick is about to be done. But still, Hydra's causing havoc from middle map. You need to get this A-point captured so that you can solely focus on B.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. That nade comes through, and that will allow for the time to continue to roll. Some great aggression off the start of this round from Owakening, but still, New York every single time has caused so many issues for the Mutineers, giving them so many headaches over at that A zone. We'll see. That final bit of progress will come on through, and it looks as if it will. So by far, the best start to an offense we've seen from Florida. We'll see if they can make it count. Now toward that B zone. Owakening did fall off of that 6 spree. So again, he finds one more kill toward top church, and they've got a glide bomb to work with. Gonna have to rely on the gun skill. As a few begin to slide on out, Hydra trying to make the play on the flank. He gets taken down, and so does Crim. Skies is able to find 2. They've got 3 strong toward the backside of the spawn. This is possible from the Mutineers as Paulehx hits the deck. Awakening charges on forward, and thankfully for New York, a sigh of relief across the comms. They cut down all 4.
Yeah, New York hold the line right there strong by setting up the pinch from top plat and through TJHaly. Find every single kill. Now with the minute and 20 to work with, if you're Florida, you just have to properly set up towards top radio. You need some radio control, not consistently trying to attack this from the back. So you're gonna have one player in Awakening. He's gonna jump his way in towards top church. At least try to set up this pinch for his team. Paulehx does take down 1, but the trade is gonna be there, and that's gonna be 3 dead in the feed. They take care of Awakening on the pinch. Last player up is gonna be Major Maniac, all the way in the back of their spawn. A minute to work with, and once again you see NYSL with so much draft control. Hydra finds that kill on the flank, spots Skies as well. Gonna commit towards the gunfire, at least put pressure on him. It's now NYSL with 45 seconds left on the defensive side to secure this map.
And that's just the issue, Jay. When you keep talking about it, it's the constant pushes through field. New York's know if they see one player, they're going to spot the other ones. Florida continue to make the same play. And so far, they have struck out every single time. 2 strong toward the back, but Kismet applying some great pressure to the middle side of the map. New York continuing to give themselves numbers, and now with 2 players identified to the back of their spawn, Major Maniac is about to be dead to rights eventually. Does get dropped, finds 1 for his troubles, and now Skies on the point has somebody watching over toward his alley. Kismet in the midst of locking down that B objective does fall, but brings out the glide. Cuts down the rookie, a current 5 versus 9. Time ticks away. And the Mutineers, only 1 player past that 50-yard line for the moment. Major Maniac's gonna have to make a play. He's gonna have to try to jump on this point, and as he gets taken down, that will be the result. NYSL, a very well-controlled game, no pun intended, throughout this game number 3. And despite it going to around number 5, it looked like it was in their grasps a majority of the time. Now up 2-1 in the series.
Even with a 7% win rate on their attacking rounds. All right, if they're not going to win the round, at least they're getting their segments completed. That allows them to secure that round number 5 defense. And you saw how strong they were every single time we saw them on that side. Paulehx has himself an unbelievable map, 37 and 22. He earns himself a glide bomb. Kismet roaming around, being that SMG that's controlling the spawns of where they're going to be influencing them to attack from. Picks up a glide bomb as well in those final moments to secure the game. If you're Florida, it needed to be a better game, a better plan. Like, you needed to have a better game plan. You cannot be sending 3 players towards the backside every single time, because once New York know that they shut down that player towards top radio, everyone just completely turns right on around, shuts down that push, and now you have to work 2 times harder. Now that you're spawning on the overextension towards field side every single time because you do not have any P5 control. I think if they would have did that completely opposite, 3 players attack from the front, 1 player commit towards the backside, that's the way that you want to attack it. But every single time when they shut down that player from the front, everyone turns around, they pick up every single kill towards the back, and they shut down the push every single time for Florida. They just need a better game plan on their attacking rounds, but did not do it so here. Now NYSL find themselves up 2-1 in this series, going into a hard point where they have found a lot of success recently.
Yeah, I mean, and what early on in these attacking rounds from Florida, as we discussed, right? The A objective, it was so hard for them to just get a clean, 3-4 down without somebody flanking. And then they had some good moments over at that B zone from time to time. In the first 2 attacking rounds that they had, there were some good moments. I mean, it was ultimately New York world starring them. Thank you again, Dave Patty, for the definition of that. And from that point on, it felt like, okay, we can't do this anymore. Now we've got to do the exact same play over and over again. Let's make our way through the field. And as you said, buddy, it got too, I don't know, too easy to read if you are the Subliners. As you said, you realize one player's back here, you see somebody in radio, you're instantly going to know what is coming up next. A tad bit too predictable toward the stretch are the Florida Mutineers. And I hate to say it, but finding themselves in typical Mutineer territory, walking away with the first hard point and not seeing success since. And Jay, to me, I know it's early, right? It's versus the New York Subliners. You've replaced half the team. It feels like, in my eyes, this Berlin hardpoint is really going to tell how different this Mutineers team is. Like, have they really figured things out? Granted, it is a great hardpoint for New York coming up in the game 4, but I feel like this is where Florida can start to show us they're not just that same team that either 3-1s or gets 3-1'd. They have layers and they can get to those game 5s. And now with Major and 2 real in the lineup, maybe can clutch it up as well.
Yeah, well, what we saw for that map number 1 is up by 100 points. Obviously, towards the end of the game, it gets really, really close. Yeah. But before that, before New York get a great hold on P5 and chain into that P1, it was flawless rotations. Every single hill. They were doing the littlest that they needed to do. They were just staying fundamentally correct. They did not have to get most of those kills. They were just putting themselves in a position to find that one kill that influences the spawn of the player to spawn all the way across the map, which makes their job easier. Now going into this Berlin hardpoint for Florida, they are on a 4-game L streak on this map.
Okay.
And that's not going to be easy. But with Major Maniac on this team, in these crucial moments, a wise man once said, it's never chalked. Major Maniac has to be the guy that I'm looking for to really set the tone for this team. I know that Awakening and Skies are usually the guys that are stepping up, but so far they've been playing kind of average this series. Major Maniac answers early in that map number 1, kinds of turns up in that search and destroy, has a slow map in that map number 3, but this is where he needs to turn the tail for this Florida roster. They know that game 5 search and destroy has not been their best suit, but if you're Major Maniac, if you're too real, this is where you need to show impact.
Oh, okay. We're hitting the jukebox right now. We're going through all the lovely CDL tracks. I'm loving this.
Banger.
We might have found the right one, possibly. I don't know. Maybe we'll find the right one soon. I don't know, man. This Berlin hardpoint, it's going to be fun. Now, I want to ask you, right? This is, as we talked about, a great hardpoint historically for the Subliners. It's one of their best. I think top 1, or rather, I think it's like top 2 in their hardpoint arsenal for the time. If there is a weakness for the New York Subliners, what's it going to be? Where's the opportunity for Florida to exploit that?
It has to be the P5 to P1 chain. Those are the only 2 hills on this map that NYSL have a negative point score on this map. And the biggest thing is we saw it versus London as well. Like, London were able to walk away with this map by basically trapping NYSL towards back warehouse, getting a good chunk of time off for that P5, about 20 to 25 seconds. And then at that point, if you're spawning towards back warehouse, your main focus is to try to get towards that P1 hill as fast as you can. But when they're putting a lot of pressure on towards the middle of the map, they're keeping trains control, then that forces NYSL to try to hit the long route to go all the way around through P3, and then eventually spawns flip if your teammates do not win those gunfights on that front side of train. So it's going to be if NYSL can find the success at that P1 to P5 and control those spawns. We saw it in map number 1. They're barely playing for their rotations. They're playing for the breaks in on a majority of these hard points, but on a map like Berlin, you have to be there first to properly set up.
Yeah, you absolutely have to. And as you said, folks, if you're listening, right, you got to write that down. P5 to P1, that is what we're looking out for the New York end. On the other side for Florida, that could be the opportunity to attack it. I got to say, too, Jay, I'm looking at 2 real. I am. I know that it's early. It's his first series, but just in general, when it comes to Major 4, there's just no time for excuses. There isn't, right? You found yourself in this position for a reason. You decided to replace half the roster. You got to see the rookie come out and play well. At the very least, really just be impactful, right? Cause some problems, make Hydra, make Kismet really work for all the map positioning, the flanks, and it felt like toward the end of the control, he was starting to get in his groove a little bit.
Yeah, he was. He's starting to get a little bit hot, a little bit warmed up if you're too real. Just what NYSL, what their SMGs are doing, you're allowing Hydra to just run around, play for the kills. Kismet, he's putting himself in position, influencing spawns, being such an impactful player that his glide bomb just completely went over my head. He was picking them apart slowly but surely, finds himself on a 7 spree, earns that streak to close out that map. and they have just been playing at a whole different level today. But when you take a look at our Florida Mutineers road to the Major IV schedule, obviously this is a big match versus NYSL. They're currently in the 10th spot with 110 points. It's not going to be an easy road. They have to go up against Minnesota, who are right above them in that 9th spot. You're going to have London, who are on the upwards, I guess you can say, now that Gizmo is back on the roster. But then versus Paris Legion, you need to make sure you secure that one. The one versus Thieves, you need to make sure you're securing that one because they're in the 8th spot. This is a huge, crucial match for Florida in terms of confidence, because usually when we see a team come off roster changes, there has to be a honeymoon period. Yeah. And so far, they're not showing it. Florida do not answer in the search and destroy. They fall short in the control. Now they need to rely on a hard point, which has been, you know, a really good move for this team overall.
Yeah, it absolutely has. And we talked about the record for Florida at 3-5. We do talk about the season. Dave, Patty, and Vivid, right? The two players that have been replaced had the lowest KDs for this team on Berlin hardpoint. One of those being a 0.85 out of Vivid. So, if that is anything, the opportunity is there for Major Maniac and 2Real to try to slide on in. And speaking of slides, well, 2Real, he falls right off the map, as that is a great beginning for New York. A lovely hold off the start as everybody falls from the Mutineers' end, and New York pick up from where they left off in that control.
Hold the initial push on this P1. They did spawn on the better side, so they get the initial time here. But finding every single kill is exactly how you want to play it. As Kismet unfortunately does take down Crim, that allows for the break to come in. Hydra's going to be the last player up. Skies with the trade, so the final 15 should go in favor of Florida. But now your main focus has to be on this P2. This is a hill where Florida tend to struggle with. If they're not properly set up, they allow NYSL to get there early and set up. They have a 0% break percentage. So that's not going to be good. You need to win a majority of these gunfights and not allow NYSL to run away with this game.
Oh, but Hydra, he's found himself into the setup. A great little moment there that could have occurred, but New York still are locking down the seconds. Mutineers have rotated. They realize, hey, there's somebody actually inside of the point. Yeah, they're pushing us out. They're starting to even try to flip the spawns, for God's sake, as Kismet instantly hops into the feed, takes down 2, and just like that, it is not a good situation for the Mutineers. Looking from the outskirts of a hill that they felt had their name written all over it, it has been New York to answer early. Mutineers catching a whiff of that aggression that the Subliners so often like to put upon you. And not only that, Jay, they're also looking good when it comes to the spawns. Paulehx just won a crucial 1v1 for the next hardpoint too.
Yeah, this is where it gets difficult if you're Florida. You have to at least fight for this junk time, put a lot of pressure on towards that street side, and instantly break this P3 game, this P3 hardpoint before you allow NYSL to run away with this one. As the spawns are still going to be there, you're going to have 2 players who are at least trying to attack this from mid-fire. Major Maniac does find that opening kill. Now 3 players committing towards that street push. You're going to have 1 player in Kismet spawns all the way across the map. This is the break that Florida need.
Oh, and Paul doesn't read it. Paul does not read it. 3 strong toward the back. We'll see if Crimsix can go big. No kills to speak of. Kismet trying to make some noise in from fire, but it is a successful break from the Mutineers. A massive moment in this game, and arguably a crucial one at that. I mean, that very well could be game deciding as this one were to go along. The Mutineers break exactly when they have to, and they're receiving the benefits from it. Big moment from the roster, and really in moments like this, Jay, you're looking at somebody like Major Maniac, as we said, not just in Search Destroy, but even in the respawns, try to calm these guys, focus them up. In a moment where they have to explode, they do that off the back of Big Wick and his 4 spree.
Awakening with some great shots. A great break from Florida to keep themselves into this game. Now rotation over towards P4. Awakening does get taken out off of that tree, so no glide bomb to work with. But the spawns are going to be here. This is great positioning from Skies. Hydra reads it beautifully as he finds that two piece. I don't know. New York are controlling the spawns for now.
This guy's like, here's something, you just instantly start shooting at 2Real. I feel like they could not get away from each other, like magnetized. And from that, New York are like, okay, there's definitely somebody in the back. Thank you, by the way, Skies. And from that moment forward, it is not really a good position from Florida. Kismet just been an absolute rat toward the bottom side of the tracks. And you take a look at this score and you just realize what could have been another great moment for Florida does get taken down. Already reached that century mark are the Subliners, and we'll see if that P5 to P1 connection will be a factor for them. Paul, great little moment for him as he's able to find 2, ultimately 3 fall in the feed. They flip the spawns on top of that, and all is good right now for New York, set up for the final hill for the first set of rotations.
And you can already see the adjustments from New York. They said, you're not going to trap us in towards this warehouse side. We're going to have one player slip on through, flip these spawns, and control towards top plat. We don't really care if we do not get any time off of this P5. Our main focus is controlling the spawns for that rotation towards P1. So 15 seconds uncontested by both of these squads. Not trying to really play for this time. Sky is trying to hold down the positioning of top 3. He's going to get sniffed out by Hydra. Hydra just wins another close engagement with that MP40 in hand. But that's going to be a 2-piece for Florida. If you're NYSL, you do not want to put a lot of pressure on. You want to at least, with the final 25, control the spawns for next. And with Paulehx and Crim combining for 3, they're doing just so. Great time at P5. Should be able to chain it towards P1.
Yeah, great time for New York right now. As we said, that P5 to P1 rotation is something that we circled coming into this series. Can Florida exploit it, or can New York continue to ride the sequence of momentum? Let's step aside and go to a listen with the Subliners.
I heard you. Nothing cross.
Could be back alley.
Get back. Get back. I'll get it. Stay left.
I'm laying down
pinch is open. Our pinch is open. You had to watch our pinch.
All right, I'll watch it.
Yo, back alley, weak, Dave. I'm looking for it. Fishing fire.
All right, I hear you.
Back alley. I got one. I'm pretty sure. Okay, no. Yo, one's going outer steps, one's pushing up outer.
Watch Matter.
There's one could be there. One could be glass.
I'm watching out.
No, not our back alley. He's not pinching.
He's deep. Nice.
One more pushing in front. He could be glass.
I gotta reload.
He's back alley.
He's not glass.
Yo, watch back alley, bro. Pinch
Yeah,
in
I'm
middle,
looking at
dead.
it. I got it. He's back to glass weeks, guys. He's back door. Watch your back door.
Okay.
Side door. I got one.
One more. I'm trusting.
He didn't come back to me. He did not come back to me. I'm watching back door. Back door.
I'm trusting.
He's flanking near red. Red. That's nice. Weak Mike in red. All right, rotate.
Yeah. One's doing me somewhere.
Yo, he's docks. BS and
Okay. He let. I'm close.
One shot.
Okay, I'm just hiding close.
Another great moment there for the New York Subliners, locking down P1 and mining it for all of its resources. Florida down but not out. We know the mantra that is attached, but somebody like Major Maniac. Let's step aside now and see how the comms are sounding with the Mutineers.
Hydra's P5, I'm ignoring him.
I'm trying to
I'm
going train.
Yeah, keep it right.
Kismet was
You have
nice.
to pick it up. I'm like going train.
Dice. Hydra, Crim dead. One of them.
Kismet was nice.
Is Hydra gonna be P5?
Nice.
Nice.
Hydra was P5.
I'll be
P4. I don't know where Hydra is. He could be back when I was on you. Open.
You got me. Nice. Someone get time.
I'll get it. They could be P5 on P4 spawns.
He's hitting no man. He's windows. Crim weak out
That's one deep warehouse. They're all spawning. Nice. I'll get God tank.
I'm gonna push.
Front door, can't come.
Yo, small. He's trying to go.
Went out window. He's street.
He's naded.
Street dead.
One's fire tank. Red dogs.
You get that time?
Okay, I got it.
Fire tank dead.
Nice shit.
No, fire.
I'm
He's second fire.
P3
I'm
base.
going to right. He's second fire, like front side, okay?
Yeah, one's nerd spot. I think one's nerd.
And you can already hear Major Maniac, the way he's controlling this team with his communication, letting people run by, setting up his teammates for easy kills. Even though they did not flip these spawns towards that P3, they did a great job at least finding some kind of time towards that P2 hard point. But now down by 60 points, NYSL with the rotation towards P3 are properly set up. They just cannot allow Florida to get that break the same way they did last time. NYSL, at least in their listening, they're playing with a whole different level of intensity. Every single match matters for this New York team, and you can just feel it.
It's Major IV, baby. You love to see the hype, the intensity, the passion, what it means to both of these rosters. As we said, a must-win game, especially for New York, and you can feel it right now, ever so closer to that double century mark as Paul continues to fry on a 4 spree. As we fly in now toward trains, a hard point that you have got to get pretty much every second on if you are Florida, but it's been the aggression so far throughout this series, and every single respawn so hard for Florida to try to get a hold of. Thankfully, they're able to drop 2 and doing a great job when they have to off the start of this HP. We'll see if they can keep that momentum flowing, Jay, as they've got a long way to go still.
Yeah, that's great shots from Awakening to shut down that spawn from these players on NYSL to continuously spawn towards back alley. That opened up Kismet and Hydra to the middle of the map. They execute the break. They know that Major Maniac is going to be the player towards back warehouse. Actually, all of Florida are going to continuously spawn back here. As NYSL, they get the break now with 25 seconds left. Skies with a massive 2-piece with that nade. Awakening with the third. Final 20 should go in favor of Florida. But now for you, New York, do the same exact thing that you did on the first go around of these rotations. Keep control of that top plat area. Do not allow those spawns to flip towards warehouse.
Oh, that's an annoying gunfight loss as well. If you're big wake, 2 real skies, everybody falls in a moment's notice. Like Florida were prepared mightily for P5, and now they find themselves the exact same position they were in the first set of rotations. That back warehouse, back train spawn. New York have got them right where they want them, 25 away from calling this game 1 their road to possibly getting into the top 8. It starts here, and it starts right now. Not far away from closing out this Berlin, but Florida doing everything they can to try to stay alive. Awakening pressured and ultimately pulverized. Major Maniac has to get into the point. He has to make something happen, but it's a crossfire once more out of New York. It feels like this game 1 is about to be theirs. Awakening falls. Florida, all they can do is watch from a distance as New York will begin their Major IV campaign with a W. And on top of that, they've got a lot more cash in their pockets.
Nice little victory for NYSL to get that early confidence going into this stage. Started off slow into this series. You go into that map number 1 down by 100 points, but then they show life fighting back into that one, only losing by like 5 to 6 points. Close out that map number 1. Now they go into the search and destroy. 7 out of 8 rounds, they get the first blood. Whenever you find a first blood in search and destroy, you're always going to put yourself in the man advantage. That's when they find a lot of success. NYSL close out there. And then we find ourselves on the control. NYSL just did a great job of controlling the map every single time they were on that defensive side, making it so hard for Florida to try to find any success on that attacking. They were just overextending through field because the positioning of Kismet constantly pushed out towards P5, which made their job a lot more difficult. They clutch up there. And then NYSL, we said it before the map even started, we needed to see adjustments from their P5 to P1 chain right off the rip. As soon as we touched that P5, they controlled the spawns from start to finish. They were able to chain it to that P1 and then grow such a lead that it was really difficult for Florida to bounce back on. They did a great job of your Florida breaking that P3 initially, but NYSL, they make the adjustment the second go around, hold it flawlessly to close out this game. Great work from NYSL to close this series out in a 3-1 fashion. If you're Florida, obviously it's still a whole learning curve to do when you're making a roster change as drastic as they made it. Not 1, but 2 players. You have to get everyone filled in. The debut of 2 Real wasn't really the best, but at least Florida is still sitting at that 110-point mark. They do not have a lot of matches to give away, but if you're NYSL, this one was very, very necessary. Great series from both squads.
Yeah, without question, partner, you summarized it perfectly. As we said, a must-win game for both of these teams, given the way that things sit. But obviously, if you're a New York fan, it's not just a game for Florida where it's like, okay, it is a must win. It's helpful for us to win these W's, but really if you're New York, you lose this game, you cannot afford to basically lose another series from this point on. So a much needed turnaround after a very interesting Tuscan hard point. But hey, NYSL, they answer in the S&D, a mode that they have been very, very much zoning in on. I know, throughout their no pressure series, Kismet especially has been very vocal. S&D, that is something that we are focusing on dramatically. The respawns, we know what we can do. They win the S&D, and you see what happens from that point on. But I couldn't agree with you more, Jay. It feels like 2 Real, not a great start, 13 and 27, and then last Berlin HP, I think he only gets like 5 or 6 kills in the entire second set of rotations. Not the greatest debut, but again, it is still early for Florida. You got to think about it. 50% of the roster is new, and they're going to need to try to turn things around because they have got Minnesota waiting on them soon.
And they got to do it quick too, man. It's not like, I told you, every single match throughout Major IV is going to be intense. Every single team is playing to make it in towards champs. Every single team that they're actually going to play still has contention of making it. I don't know about Paris Legion, but they still got a chance of making it towards the top 8. So if you're Florida, you have to learn quick. You cannot allow series like this to get away from you.
Yeah, without a doubt, New York walk with the dubs. We'll bring back in the desk, guys. An interesting series, a very entertaining one off the rip. I appreciate your guys' antics with the guns. And can you get a little bit more excited, buddy? There's a lot of money on the line. Come on.
All right, listen, man. $10,000. Congratulations to them. I was more focused on these points, man, because New York needed victory. They come in after losing map 1, able to take 3 straight. Like that is exactly what they need. They have a tough schedule going forward. But for Florida, that's tough, man. You're hoping going into this one you can run run away with a victory because up next you got Boston Breach. If they sneak out an upset, that's another bubble team that's going to extend their lead on Florida.
Good luck. New York, they're going to be in the money, but they're also in the race for champs still with the big win right there. I think they're at 80 points right now. But the question is for both of you right now, whoever wants to take it, feel free. False on Major Maniac and Too Real.
I didn't even hate it. I feel like we definitely saw what Major Maniac was supposed to bring to this squad, especially in that S&D. But I feel like we kind of got baited with that Desert Siege. I mean, Ant were like, okay, maybe they have something to pull out from under the rug. Well, unfortunately, they did not. Now 0-7 in Desert Siege Search and Destroy.
Right, and Ant, man, this series actually started off extremely fun. That hardpoint game had me shook at the end when New York almost made that comeback happen. But then we saw really good stuff from New York. From Florida right there.
Yeah, I mean, we saw some good things from Florida on that first map, right? They played it flawlessly. We saw some great setups, some great breaks, but, going into the Search and Destroy, that's where we wanted to see the improvements. And, they had the big round out of Major Maniac, but aside from that, they really had no mid-map control. They tried to do some full-on pushes towards the trains where they got shut down, but, yeah, not much progression there. They're going to have to learn. It's a brand new team. I thought we would see more out of them out of the gate, but just wasn't so.
Right, so, Ali, you've been the one that's been looking at me funny every time I say, I believe in Florida. I think Florida's going to do this. Looking forward, Florida to this stage, are you comfortable with this team? Do you think that they're showing a lot of promise? Do you still think that they need a little bit more work moving forward?
They definitely need more work. I mean, obviously, New York is a tough team to beat. They have been nonstop improving since we saw them with their double roster change. But for me, Major Maniac is a good player. I think it's a good fit for this team. Too Real, I mean, yeah, he had a really rough game, map 4, but I don't feel like he was playing that bad. The thing that kind of, I guess, took me aback was Skies was still being the objective player. And I kind of thought maybe Too Real being brought in, Skies and Awakening seriously taking on those Slayer roles, and Too Real being more of their OBJ, getting in the time, playing the point. But it was still kind of the same woes from Florida that we saw earlier in the season, and it doesn't feel like I got any sort of different play from them.
Yeah, I mean, with that loss, this is so important for them in their next match versus the Minnesota Røkkr. They have to come away with a victory. I mean, not only for points because of the bubble, they're the same amount of points as the Minnesota Røkkr. They have to win that, and then Search and Destroy as well. Røkkr is a great Search and Destroy team. That is the game mode Florida needs the most improvement. So in this next, couple of days, they have to grind out that game mode, figure it out, and have some strats and execute, because if they win that, then they go up 2-0 this series and they're in such a better position.
Yeah, hey, good luck to Florida, and shout out to Florida as well, because they walked away with at least something in this matchup, right? The Scump play of the game is going to go out to Major Maniac for his 1v2 clutch. It's good to see it back on that screen, man.
And it was an ace. I remember looking at him being like, oh my God, Major Maniac is absolutely gunning them right now.
Yeah, I mean, I like when they were pushing over towards the sand side of the map and playing towards B. They were making plays in the rounds they did that. But other than that, they had no mid-map control. We saw the push over towards trains where they tried to take the gunny. It didn't work out for them. New York was just way more active than the Mutineers, right? The strategy on this map just wasn't working out for them. But, in this round, at least Major Maniac's able to go big. He gets all 4 kills. It was almost a 1v4, like you were saying, basically. But, yeah, big plays.
Right. Now, let's take a look at New York's schedule for Major 4, because as we come back from Toronto and come back from Major 3 there, New York, they got double eliminated, but looking forward, in order to make champs, they have to make the most of all of these opportunities. Now, all of us talent, we were in the back room, and, we had been there, and we were talking about New York as well, and also the schedule ahead of them. This is tough. If they're unable to beat Florida and Los Angeles Guerrillas, that's what we said at the beginning of the game, it's going to be rough.
Well, I mean, honestly, they have a tough schedule, but it's actually, really good for them, oddly enough, because they play LAG and Thieves, which are both teams around them on the bubble.
Put it back up, production, please.
If we can, yeah, because they play LAG and they play Thieves, who are right around them on that bubble, right? So if they are able to beat both of those teams, that's a victory over them, those extra points. They'll probably likely put them in the winner's bracket with a 3-2 record, assuming they lose to Surge and OpTic. And then they just have to make a run at the tournament, right? 3-2 in top 3 at stage 4 should land you a spot. I'm not League Ops, but I'm assuming that'll be enough points to land them a spot at champs, and they'll be in a good spot.
Ali, I know you got something to say. I just want to say this so the graphic can go away. Nameless, I agree with you, but we're playing Vanguard, man. Look at all these teams. LA Thieves, up and down team. Take a look at the OpTic. You don't know what to get from them with their sub as well. It's all those games are coin flips.
Well, for me, I think arguably, even though they have a tough schedule, I think this was their most important match. Not only to set the tone heading into stage 3, I feel like your first match is definitely setting your pace, because once you do that, already your points have changed. Already the bubble has kind of moved around a bit, and you're like, all right, well, this is exactly what we have to do from here on forward. So beating Florida, a team that has been upsetting some of these top teams, it's been kind of back and forth, I think this is a huge confidence boost for New York Subliners moving forward to see where they land around the other teams.
They needed that win, too. I really love that they got it. Let's take a look at Florida's schedule to close out all of Major IV online qualifiers as well. This team, we saw glimpses of what they're made of, but coming up next, like Jeremy was talking about, man, shout out to Steady. They play against the Minnesota Røkkr next. That won't be easy at all, but towards the end of the year, things look a little bit easier.
I mean, yeah, very winnable schedule. I mean, you could really go 4-1 here. I mean, the Minnesota Røkkr match is kind of scary because of how good they looked in the last online portion of games, but I mean, even if it takes them a little bit to settle in and they lose that Minnesota Røkkr match, like they can win versus Ravens, Legion, and Thieves with how those teams have been performing throughout our online portion. So for Mutineers, it's not all grim. They're still sitting at 110 points, and there's a lot of opportunity to win matches here, but they have to win 3 of these.
Yes, now Florida Mutineers, like I said, hopefully they can continue on with that streak. But like we said at the beginning of the show as well, it's going to be all about the points from this point forward. In New York, getting that win definitely put them in a good path to gain some momentum for their own major. Now, aLy, looking at the total points right now, I mean, New York, Florida, both of these teams are looking on the outside looking in, but it's going to be better, harder than ever.
Well, for Florida, it's not the end of the world, right? They still have 110 points. Like, they're still in a more favorable position. But for New York Subliners, this match was literally possibly everything, right? They were sitting at 70. Now they have 80, but there is still a 30-point differential between them and Florida, and they're in 11th place, okay? They're still trying to force their way into that top 8. We talk about these matches going forward. Florida now has to play LA Thieves as well, which is a team that's been upsetting London Royal Ravens, who are sitting at 150 points, who have that little net of safety heading into Major IV. So a lot of things can change here, but for Florida Mutineers to start off with a loss like this, it's not looking good.
And Nameless, man, seeing Crim in a position in 11th place with only 80 points right now, you're shaking your head right now, but if this man misses champs, we're talking about legacies on the line, the last things people remember of you in your playing career, this is not the road that he wanted.
Hey, man, don't go out like McGregor, all right? This is what I'm saying. Like, Crim's gotta make it in. It started with that match right there, and he had a massive bounce back as well in that series. Started performing that control. Like, he really started to play better. So I'm excited to see if he can bring it, they'll have success. And map 1, Crim he was getting smoked.
Oh, big time. Coming up next, we're gonna have OpTic Texas facing off against Boston Breach. But before we jump into that series and the break that's gonna be right behind it, aLy, anything you wanna say to close out this series right here?
I'm really impressed by New York Subliners. They were able to keep kind of some of their momentum even after having like a disappointing showing at stage 3. For them to still come out hot against the Florida Mutineers, I think it's a good looks for them.
All right, Nameless, man, any last words you want to get off your chest?
I'm ready for the next match.
Let's get it, baby. All right, ladies and gentlemen, listen, that break was long enough, and this was even longer. But coming up next, we have OpTic Texas and also Boston Breach. Let's see if Boston can turn it around, right? I can't wait to see it. Plus, we're going to take a look at Boston's brand new roster. We'll catch you on the other side of this break for some more CDL action.